We picking that out of the background. Lesson 6 titled Christ. So a little bit behind schedule. Let's get through the pledge to UNIA flag, if you would. Raise your black fist and repeat after me. I commit my body. Well, not repeat with me. I commit
my body, mind, and spirit
protection, defense, and security of the
protection,
black,
defense, and security.
I dedicate my life
to the redemption of Mother Africa
and the
and the liberation of her scattered black children. I accept for myself and my descendants
The
the
teachings
of
of
universal African nationalism. And I promise that our
children will be instilled with the purpose and knowledge of themselves as African people,
in
in
order
order
that
that the cause
of our struggle will be united
falter nor fail
until all
black people are free and united
through one God,
God, one
aim,
and one destiny.
Race first, family. All right. So, for those that don't know, and some of y'all, most of y'all may not know, there's an oath that corresponds with this course. There's an oath that corresponds with this course. And it's in some of the texts, not all of the texts. The Charles L. James version of the text does not have it. There's a Sekou Tafare version, of Course of African Philosophy, that does have the text. And it's from Sister Eleanor White. And we should know that name. She is one of the sisters that was part of the first graduating class. So, and she's from Chicago. So this was her down here out of Chicago. She was able to preserve the oath to the course. So I'm going to go through the oath, and this is something that we will revisit throughout the course. Give me 1 second to get our social media going. Okay, so the oath to the Course of African Philosophy from the first graduate states, I, and I'll say myself, John Hargrove, do solemnly swear before Almighty God that I have entered upon the instructions of the African School of Philosophy conducted by Marcus Garvey for no other purpose than to serve the Negro race through the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League, of which he is President General, and that I shall not use the knowledge so gained to promote or advance the interest of any other organization. I shall confine myself always to the service of the Universal Negro Improvement Association and work within the framework of the organization for any promotion I may desire for the improvement of my race. I shall never divulge or reveal any of these lessons I received to anyone, and shall never allow the lessons or records thereof to fall into the hands of anyone, and shall safeguard the same with my life from falling into the hands of other races. I shall always use all my energy and ability to advance the interests of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, and shall never be in rebellion against it. And to this I swear myself, my honor, and sacred trust. And should I fail this oath, may the just reward be meted out to me, so help me God. So that's the oath. That's not anything that you'll be tested on. Let me stop. That's not anything you'll be tested on, but it's something that we should be aware of. So it looks like this lesson is fairly short, or the questions that I got. Wait a minute, we just read elocution, right? Is that right?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay. Yeah, we got a lot of questions for elocution. 1 second. Huh? So any questions or comments on lesson 4 before we get into the questions for the class? No questions? Everybody ready? Okay. First question. What does elocution mean, according to Garvey?
To speak out.
Speak out. I think we got on. Anything else you want to add to that?
Say if you
The
have
art,
tell it well.
Someone was mentioning something. Brother Art, right on. Speak out. If you have a tale to tell it well. So, according to Garvey, elocution means to speak out, and we will elaborate on the skills of elocution throughout the lesson. But the general essence, Garvey says it in the first line. Elocution means to speak out. So number 2, what does it take to be a good elocutionist? What does Garvey say that it takes to be a good elocutionist?
You must speak with clearness and distinctiveness. You must speak to be understood.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
Yes, you to be a good elocutionist, you must embody in yourself clearness of thought, expression, and action.
Thank you, Attorney Imhotep. Let's see what I had. I need to expand on my answers as well, because y'all got some good answers. You must embody in yourself clearness of thought, expression, and action. You must feel what you speak. Again, I'm not looking for anything like verbatim. I'm looking for a general understanding. So, Brother Art, you would be correct as well.
enthusiasm,
What would you say, Sister Diane?
enthusiasm.
Enthusiasm. Diane got her book. Hold on. But this is, to be a good elocutionist, you must body yourself clearness of thought, expression, and action. First, you must feel what you speak and speak it and speak. Feel what you speak, and as you feel it, express it in like manner. But again, pay attention. This follows up on what Garvey said about your heart and the head. He's basically saying, have passion for what you're saying, have heart, and express it with the level of intelligence and elocution, and express it to be understood. So being understood, I feel like I'll talk about this later, so I don't want to go into it too much. But in the text, it says that the idea of speaking is to convey information. So Yeah, it's just like reading or anything. You're trying to transmit from one source to another source. In reading and in lesson one, that transfer was from a text to us as individuals. Now in lesson 4, elocution, Garvey's talking about us transmitting information to others, how we speak, how we express ourselves. But it's important if we want to be understood and how we want to be understood. You must speak to be understood in the language you speak. So again, language, we talked about that lesson 1. You must carry emphasis when you speak. So having the heart with the head. Okay. Any questions, comments before we move forward? Lesson 4, elocution. Question 3, why must we speak so that everyone can hear the message? Why must we speak so that everyone can hear the message?
Because you'd be wasting your time if no one can hear you. If people cannot hear you.
In a sense. The point is, I mean, if it's just like writing, if you're writing, you're intending to be understood. So if you're not writing clearly, you're not going to be understood. If you're not speaking clearly or with enough emphasis, you're not going to be understood. And that's the whole point of speaking. So very first thing is speak to be heard. They will strain their ears to hear and understand you. You have an audience. You must make an effort for everyone in your audience to hear you distinctly. Speak in words your audience understands. Where did I get that from? Page 38. Okay, moving forward. What happens when you are honest in what you are saying? What happens when we are honest in what we are saying? Question was what happens when we're honest when we speak, but I found the answer to the other question. The idea of listening is to hear. When an audience doesn't hear every word of the speaker has failed to make a complete impression upon his audience. So yeah, always try to be understood. That's the point of speaking. That's the point of elocution. But the question we're on, what happens when you're honest in what you're saying?
He says you will feel it and it will move you.
That's
always be enthusiastic.
All right. Thank you, Brother Art. You will feel it and it will move you. Page 40. Following up on the concept of the head and the heart. So in lesson 1, we should have got a strong foundation with our head, with our intelligence. Lesson 3, in my opinion, does a lot for the morals as to why we do what we do. So the heart aspect, we have to put these two things together. We have to know why we're doing what we're doing, have a passion for what we're doing, and be able to express that when we communicate with others in order to be good elocutionists, according to Garvey, who we would argue one of the best orators of his time. What does Garvey say about eye contact? What does Garvey say about eye contact?
You should stare into their eyes and firmly express yourself.
Why?
You will subjugate them and make them do what you want.
Pretty much, Sister Diane. Let me see if I can find that in the text. But this course, I don't know if it's just this lesson, but I feel like Garvey talks about eye contact more than once. But it was important to Garvey. So I think it should be important to us. Stare into their eyes firmly, stare into your eyes and firmly express yourself. Telling a lie, face your audience. So the importance of eye contact, the importance of being honest, the importance of being able to maintain eye contact is very important. It's something that Garvey talks about a lot. And he says that when we can't, it shows that weakness in a sense, but it shows that, the audience will feel that you're not honest about what you're saying. The fact that you can't keep eye contact. So we have to be well trained at that and prepare for that. And again, speaking from our head and our heart, being the experts on the topic that we discuss, not fearing anyone's questions or counter arguments, but also having a level of passion of what you're saying and what you're doing. Number 6, when should we ask for a collection, that's donation, dues, during elocution?
After you're finished, maybe a couple of minutes afterwards, after you finish speaking.
Why is it after you finish?
Well, you don't want to make it look like you're just speaking to get money, ask for money. You want to, you're speaking to, I guess, to get everyone to get new members, to join the organization, the government. And yeah, so that's why you don't ask for money while you're speaking.
Yep. Absolutely. Says then 5 minutes. Afterwards, raise your voice gradually until you have reached a. Wait, no, that's not what I mean. No, you're right. I found the wrong part.
And immediately after a while, they're still enthusiastic about your speech.
Very good speech. Listening. Where is this at? On page 41?
Page 41.
You don't have strong chest. You feel exhausted. I'm looking enthusiastic. Lift the collection immediately after speech. If you lift the collection at the same time you make the speech, they will think so. Don't let people believe that all your efforts were just to collect a collection. So let's be honest. We're all leaders here. The important, and we just discussed this at Ancestors Day. Our priority as a division is 2 things, but they're both kind of one thing. It's membership and finances. Membership and resources. So bringing people in and bringing funds in. That's our goal. That's what we're trying to do. But we can't look desperate as we're doing this. So although our intentions may be to raise funds or bring in membership, it can't always be obvious because it makes us look desperate. So questions, comments? Asking for donation or collection. What does Garvey say is required to speak properly?
Your stomach must not be empty. You must not be hungry. Or be too full.
It's not. Everybody on board with Sister Diane? I thought it would have been. I know we talked about mastery of language earlier.
But
Or physical. It could be physical.
to speak properly, you must have good sound teeth.
Ooh, look at that. There it is. That sounds like straight from the book, page 41. So yes, that's Brother Andrew, that's you. You gotta get that right, bro. So
Yes, you must have clear nostrils. Your lungs must be sound. You must have a healthy chest. Your stomach must not be over full, and you not hungry.
Speak up.
yes, Attorney Matub. So yes, that comes straight from the text. Again, we have to value this information. We are Garveyites. We all love and respect Garvey and honor the achievements that he was able to make. So likewise, we should honor the lessons that he left behind. And just to recap what Attorney Motep said, to speak properly, you must have good sound teeth. You must have clear nostrils. Your lungs must be sound. You must have a healthy chest. Your stomach must not be overfull and you must not be hungry. Never try to make a speech on a hungry stomach. You may faint and die before you are finished. If you have a nasal obstruction, go to the doctor and have it corrected. If you're suffering from lung trouble, see the doctor. So, yeah, it's early in the lesson, but keep these things in mind. I hold these things as very important. Not to say that it's going to have more weight on the exam, but just when Garvey speaks clearly like this, he lets us know exactly what he thinks is important and what's not. And again, this is Garvey at the age of 50, not while he's doing what he was doing, not while he was working, but when he had the chance to look back and you know, the text said an unfortunate hindsight, you know, so if almost as if he could do it all over again, the things that he would focus on. So we have to know this, master this, and teach this as students of Garvey. All right. No questions. We will keep moving. 8:44. To be able to make a speech for 1 to 2 hours, what must we treat and train?
Drink water and eat eggs.
Drink water and eat eggs. I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But he uses there's a specific word I'm looking for this one. To be able to make a speech for 1 to 2 hours, what must we treat and train? Yeah. I know, I ain't want to make you nervous though. I want to sit right in front of you. be able to make a speech 1 to 2 hours. What must we treat and train? Come on, y'all. And well, y'all must know it's gonna be a follow-up question. Right, I gotta go in the book. Here. There it is right there. Look at that. Just open the book up. This is in the same what I just read. If you have nasal obstructions or a doctor for suffering from lung troubles or just maybe to be able to make a speech for an hour or an hour and a half or 2 hours, you must treat and train your constitution. Do we know what our constitution is?
Stress and not be congested, I guess.
Anybody want to help? Not that I know 100% right answer, but
Yeah, like
this is
if you're
something we just-
congested,
I
to
am.
make sure you, yeah. I think that's what he's talking about, congestion. Make sure you're not congested.
I agree. We talked about this one. You said lungs, diaphragm came up one time. But yeah, just even stomach, having a properly functioning system and being able to manage that system. So yeah, being able to give a speech for an hour and a half, 2 hours, not having to stop to go to the bathroom is another part of it. So your whole body, its function, its system, being able to manage that and control that, and that's how you can make that. That's what I consider constitution, as well as what Sister Diane said. All right. I think I saw the next question pop up. What is the most serious part of your body to be affected in regards to making long speeches?
Your chest.
Yes, the chest. The chest is the most serious part to be affected. Here's part of the effect. If you don't have a strong chest, you will feel exhausted and attempt to make a long speech. But I gotta be careful because there's so many questions in here. If I read too much, it goes to the next question. What food does Bobby recommend you eat to prevent being exhausted and attempting to make long speeches? How often and how should the food be prepared? So what food does Bobby recommend we eat to make long speeches?
Soft boiled egg or raw if you can stand it.
Absolutely. How often should we eat soft boiled or raw eggs?
Regularly, and as long as you're going to indulge in public speaking.
There's a word every day in here.
He said this must be done regularly.
Regularly. Yeah. As long as you can. Okay. Number 12, what else should we be consuming in addition to eggs in order to make long speeches?
You sip on water at intervals
Yes.
to soften your palate.
Water was what I looked for. Okay. So, from a dietary standpoint, Garvey is kind of basic. And really just eggs, water, and one more thing that we'll talk about. Why do most preachers, especially Anglican preachers, fail? Why do most preachers fail, especially Anglican?
Because their congregation can't hear them.
Yes. Yeah. So, foundation, fundamental of elocution, being heard. So, um, beyond what we're saying, how clever it is, how relevant it is, we have to be heard. So, yeah, we talk about elocution, good speaking, speak to be heard. So Garvey said most preachers, especially Anglican preachers, fail because their congregation cannot hear them. Why should we always try to avoid? What should we always try to avoid? And this can be ruinous to a speaker. What can be ruinous to a speaker?
A cold, a flu.
All right, Sister Diane, she's carrying the class today. I'm gonna need some more people to give me an answer. Thank you, Sister Diane. Yes, a cold. We can make sense of it. He talks about constitution, lungs, control of your breath, being able to speak to be heard, drinking water for dry throat. So all of those things become worse with a cold. So a cold or sickness is a kryptonite to a good speaker. So although there's no dietary recommendations in the course of African philosophy, in my understanding, one of the hidden lessons is in regards to health. And there is no official lesson in this course entitled health or things to eat or things to do, but there are some subtle reminders of health, like the previous example. So next one, and this is one as well. What does Garvey recommend to keep your nostrils clear?
Eucalyptus.
Eucalyptus, there you go, brother. Yes, eucalyptus. So again, we're talking about colds and the constitution, the flow of breath, being able to keep our breath, maintain our breath, being able to breathe clearly. So Garvey talks about having surgery if you got an obstruction, but these things are important to elocution. What does Garvey say about places to practice speaking? Where should we practice our speaking?
Any place where you will not be disturbed.
Pretty much. He gave a couple examples. I don't know if he said positive, but places you will not be disturbed. Yes. So take the time to practice, develop, better yourself, and do it in privacy, is what Garvey recommends. Why should we not be afraid of our audience? And I kind of said this earlier, I shouldn't have said so much. Why should we not be afraid of our audience?
Because all you got to do is know your subject.
Yes, in essence. We are, subject matter experts. We are the subject matter experts. If you know your subject well, you have no cause to be afraid. So, lesson one, if we mastered lesson one, lesson four shouldn't be too difficult. We should know at least what to say. What is the latest time of night that we should be called to speak, and why?
No later than 9:30, because people, when it's late, people are tired. Certain hour of the night, people are restless and tired and generally want to go home. They are never inclined to listen to speeches.
Yes, sir. Page 43, see to it that you are called no later than 9:30. Yes, the audience is tired. I've compared this synonymously with hungry. Garvey also mentioned, like, when people are hungry, don't try to give them a long speech because they're trying to eat, they're trying to put food in their stomach. So they don't care for your long speech, just like somebody who's tired. So late at night, we don't need to be making no long speeches. 9:30. What is one thing that the audience will remember, if nothing else? If they don't remember anything else, what will they remember? So one thing they will remember.
Don't make any mistakes in pronouncing your words, because that also invites amusement for certain people.
Yes. In a sense, your mistakes, any mistakes that you make. So we talked about this in lesson 2. From a physical appearance standpoint, people looking at the holes in your shoes, the hole in your jacket, how raggedy you are. They're going to make fun of you. Same thing with elocution. If you speak in a way that's funny to someone, or you stumble on your words, or misuse a word, mispronounce a word, it may be cause for ridicule. So Garvey's just giving us a heads up, and letting us know that, if people don't remember anything else about you, they're going to remember your mistakes.
Yeah, they will remember your mistakes.
When speaking, what must we always try to hold, and what must we never give? What must we always try to hold, and what must we never give?
When speaking, you should always try to hold the people's interest in the best way you know.
Yes, sir. Again, we're there to relay information. We want people to be informed, but as well as entertained, to where they enjoy the process. It's not, like school or something where you're forced to sit down and listen to somebody speak. You want this to be an engaging, positive interaction. And what must we never give? Always try to hold their attention, and what must we never give?
Vulgar jokes.
Vulgar jokes, absolutely. Keep the people's interest, never give vulgar jokes. Questions, comments? All right, last question. To be a good speaker or elocutionist is to hold what among men? And what does it give you? What do you hold among men by being a good speaker, and what does it give you?
It's to hold a grand prize among men. If you can speak, you'll have a natural lead among them.
Yes, sir. So, to be a good speaker or elocutionist is to hold a grand prize among men. and it'll give you a natural lead. And again, we have to remember the title of lesson 2, leadership. First thing that Garvey said, in order to lead, you must be superior. And that's following up on the lesson on intelligence. And now we're coming back at the end of lesson 4, elocution, saying that being a good elocutionist will give you a natural lead. You will naturally be, quote unquote, superior in the art of elocution. Questions, comments on lesson 4? No questions on lesson 4.
Okay.
We will go through reading for lesson 5, and that will be all for this evening. Sister Diane, will you be reading for us?
Okay. Lesson 5. Right? Lesson 5, God. There is a God, and we believe in him. He's not a person, nor a physical being. He is spirit, and he is universal intelligence. Never deny that there is a God. God, being universal intelligence, created the universe out of that intelligence. It is intelligence that creates. Man is a part of the creation. So universal intelligence and man was created in the image and likeness of God, only by his intelligence. It is the intelligence of man that is like God, but man's intelligence is only a unitary particle of God's universal intelligence. God, out of his universal intelligence, made matter, and he made the mind. That matter is made by God, and man is matter as well as mind. Therefore, man must be in the image of God, because nothing could exist without God. As God made the universe out of his universal knowledge or intelligence, so man in his unitary knowledge or intelligence can make a typewriter, an automobile, or a chair, but he cannot make the universe, because his unitary intelligence is not as much or as great as universal intelligence. All the unitary intelligence of the universe goes to make God, who is the embodiment of all intelligence. So no man can be as great as God, because he's only a unit of God, and God is the whole. Therefore, no man can measure God nor ask God questions, because he's not as intelligent as God. Therefore, he cannot understand God. Therefore, it is presumptuous when man questions God from his limited unitary intelligence. Man never dies. Nothing dies. Man is made of body and spirit. The spirit of God, it is intelligence. The body of man is matter. It changes from living matter in the man to other matter in the soil. It is always the same. It is always the same matter. It doesn't die in the sense of how we understand death. It changes. When man sleeps and passes away in the flesh, he goes to the earth. He goes to earth that lives on, out of which other man and things are formed. All matter is related. So man is related to the earth, and the earth is related to earth is related to man. We eat ourselves over and over again. When we eat the apple, the banana, the fig, the cherry, the grape, when we drink the water, we are eating and drinking ourselves over and over again. Nothing is lost and nothing dies. Do not be afraid of death, because what you call death is only change, and you are still in the universe, either in the spirit of God, to whom your spirit goes after the change, or as matter, which goes on forever. You are related to the flowers, the beautiful rose, the trees, the fish, and other animals, just as you are related to God. All of you sprung from God, who is universal intelligence. Do not be more cowardly than the rose, the apple, the coconut, the sheep, the fish, or the cow. To do that which all must do, that which we call death, to die. If you weep, you are a coward. Die like a man. Become, because you're not lost. You are still there. You only weep because you are a glutton, because you think that you will not get any more to eat and drink. You think that you will not get any more happy times, just as you have been feeding upon things and other beings who came here before you. So someone else must feed on you to make creation true. Otherwise, God will not be fair to everybody and everything. God is fair and just to everybody. He is no respecter of things or person. It is everlasting, as we know, this thing we call mysterious life. It has no beginning, some say. It's just a constant move and flow. It goes from this, then back to that, and on it moves in course well planned, that circles universe and all, thus passing through earth single lot. Your life and mine is one long psalm, in tune with that of other beings and everything that breathe the air, in seasons rough and seasons calm, are one source they say contain the germ that grows in range of universe, and all go back to that one cause, whose life supplies the spreading germ. By being a part of source divine, each life has functions strictly drawn. For all must bow to endless time in form and shape that marks each line. So man must yield his flesh to dust, with plants and weeds and birds and fish, with rocks and mounts and lilies too, as trees breathe up in fibry crust. Each one should like to hold his own and be a king in self alone. But this is not the way of life that claims but one almighty crown. Thus disappointed, man grieves on, for he should like his own strange way, when sun and stars and steady moon would dance and change to suit his clan. It's safer than to have one God, whose life is first and ever so, and all the rest to live in him, with all the good they ever had, for fleshly man would ruin things. If he controls, if he controlled the source of life, the day would see an endless change from slaves who crawl to haughty king. Live on, good God of timeless worth, and keep man in his place to live, that when he rises to the height, he might perform his good on earth. For life right here is sad today, and lived by man in company. If earth goes on, they grave should come to lead us all in goodness way. The Everlasting Life by Marcus Garvey.
Thank you, Sister Diane. That completes lesson 5, Titled God. Questions, comments on lesson 5?
The poem was a little choppy. So, you're like looking for the rhymes and all that stuff. But it's got a good message though.
That's one of Garvey's poems. There are some poems in this text, not all of them are Garvey's, but that one's definitely a Garvey. But the structure kind of just thrown out the window with this lesson. Well, not really. Depending on how you understand it. We had the introduction, the importance of the course. We had lesson 1, intelligence, education, universal knowledge, and how to get it. The importance of knowledge and history, history of man primarily, leadership, always being a step ahead, knowing the characteristics of leadership, dignity, honesty, not being a snob, so forth. The aims and objects, the foundation of the UNIA, as well as foundation of Black nationalism, and Garvey's perspective on Black nationalism and the importance of race purity. Well, no, race purity was in lesson 2. Then we got lesson 4, elocution, how to speak well and communicate well. So all of the things that we learned in lessons 1, 2, and 3, how to be good representatives of those lessons through lesson 4, and a couple hidden things on health and dietary recommendations. And then lesson 5, what we just read, titled God. As we understand this more, this lesson talks about
death.
Yes, death. But yeah, the end. So it's interesting. I like how Garvey laid it out. In lesson 5, he gets us comfortable with the end and eternity. And at that point, what do we have to be afraid of? What do we have to fear? And what did Garvey say about consequences? Men who are in earnest don't fear consequences, or something like that. But at the end of the day, we have to understand our relationship with eternity, and what Garvey considers universal intelligence. As we get comfortable with that and the end, then the other lessons will become a lot easier to deal with and to handle. So, any questions, comments on lesson 5? God.
Yes. We're Africans, the ancient Africans saw the female as being worshipped, that you should worship her. In ancient Kemet, I saw in the tombs there that on the ceiling they had the female as being the sky, and had on her body the stars. And the African looked at the female as a god, a heavenly god. And they had a god for earth who was a male, so sort of a fatherland. They were saying fatherland, earth or whatever was a man. Then we learned that European came along with the Arabs, and they didn't like that principle that you look at the woman as a heavenly body. So they switched it. They made the man, I guess, God of the heavens, like, Holy Father, Heavenly Father, and they made the female more earthly, the motherland, and it's just that we have it all backwards today, and it's really the female is which is from where we came from, and the African was a matriarchal society. The power came through the female. So just a note here. I saw where Garvey, like we all do today, there is a God and we believe in him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is not a person or whatever. He is a spirit. Mm-hmm. That's that male chauvinist religion. All the religions, the European religions that we worship today, the Jewish, Christian, Islamic, Hindu, they're all male chauvinist religions. And I just thought that's a point we need to recognize. And if we're going to be, true to our African culture and spirit, we need to get back to the African principles of the female is the one from which we came, and the power lies. And we need to treat the female African woman as our God.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
I'm with you. I could understand and appreciate what you're saying, where you're coming from. I do. Let me see, but this is, as we said, and we don't have to agree with this. It's like reading Garvey's diary. It is what it is. This is what he documented, but he also did give us the opportunity to disagree and to update it. So I'm with you, Attorney Motep. The only thing I was thinking was, I mean, we can make updates, especially to the Constitution, but then in the preamble it says the fatherhood of God and the brotherhood of man. So there are some important foundational components that have that relationship with known as the patriarchal God. But I understand what you're saying. To me, it really don't. It's that's people's thing. It is what they want it to be. But at the end of the day, we're just reading what Garvey left us.
Part of his mind.
Yeah, we can definitely say that Garvey was of the opinion that God was a man.
He was a Christian. Christianity, Judaism, and Islam all stem from African spirituality.
But you don't have to agree with that. That's not
No.
Right. But you could tell Garvey was a Christian.
Yeah. This is just a, yeah, this is lessons of Garvey. So, you know, it is what it is. We can have our opinions though. We're entitled to that. Anyone else? 9:21. Okay. Okay. All right, well, we will close out. And we will meet next week and we will go through lesson 6 titled Christ. Read the lesson on your own. Don't judge the lesson based on the title. But as Sister Diane made evident, we shouldn't understand that Garvey is a Christian. And I'll give you a heads up. He uses this lesson from an exemplary standpoint. He uses Christ as an example. So he even talks about it in the lesson. He'll say, even if we don't agree that Christ was real, the story itself is something to admire and something a standard to hold yourself to. So we'll read lesson 6 and Garvey's perspective, or the title of Garvey's lesson, Christ, and get his perspective. Questions, comments before we close? All right. All right, we will close out. Stop sharing. Lady President, will you be able to close it? Oh, she ain't got no audio. Sister Diane, you want to close us out?
Okay, everyone, raise your right fist and repeat. One God,
One God,
one aim,
one aim,
one destiny.
one destiny.
Africa,
Africa,
for the Africans,
for the Africans,
those at home
those at home,
and those abroad.
and those abroad.
Race first.
Race first.
Peace and love. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.